anything in this life, the highs wear off, and then you're back trying to chase that high again and chase that dragon again. And then on the way to chasing that dragon and on the way to getting to that pot of gold, whatever you want to call it, the achievement that you want, you have to slay a bunch of dragons. And the higher the levels that you get, the more the devils come. In this life, there's watchers and then there's players, and a lot of people are just watching, and then there's other people that are really playing. And when you're watching these players and you're seeing them do these things and you're saying, ooh, that's crazy. You don't really realize, but they had to slay a bunch of dragons to get there, and then they got it, and then they lost it, and then they got it, and then they lost it, and then they got it, and then they lost it, because that's the process, and you have to get it and lose it 5 or 6 times to know that you were the one that was going to go get it regardless. Something that I realized about this journey of getting success or getting to the place that you want to get to, or becoming the man that you want to be, the woman that you want to be, or getting to this quote unquote destination by doing what you feel as though is your purpose or something that you want to achieve, is that it's all about the journey. For me, especially with this YouTube channel and everything that I'm trying to do and all the purposes that I'm trying to go after and attract into my life and bring into my life, I've realized that, bro, it's literally the journey of this that is making me so happy to be on, because the journey is molding me. The journey is molding me into the man that I have to be to have these things, or to obtain this quote unquote lifestyle, this achievement, whatever you want to call it. And I know through each step, each moment that I'm doing this work, that it's so hard, and I'm so delusional in the fact that I think that this thing is going to work, or what I'm doing is going to result in some type of outcome, and that I'm never going to stop till it results in an outcome, that I realize that that's why nobody keeps going. This is why people quit, and I've been the quitter. I've also fell short, and I've said, I'm gonna just stop doing this because and this, that, and this. It's like, this is too hard, and it's never gonna happen, and this, and that is the difference between a winner and a loser. The success doesn't come overnight, because you do a couple right things, and the success will be very short-lived, and success is often very short-lived. I feel as though, when great things happen in your life, it's a shorter period than the bad things that you went through to get to that period, if you know what I'm saying. The highs don't last for forever. It's just like anything in this life, the highs wear off, and then you're back trying to chase that high again and chase that dragon again. And then on the way to chasing that dragon and on the way to getting to that pot of gold, whatever you want to call it, the achievement that you want, you have to slay a bunch of dragons. And the higher the levels that you get, the more the devils come. The higher, new levels, new devils, man. That's something that I always say. And it's like, the people that are going to be separated from the real winners in this life, the real hustlers, quote unquote, or the people that really achieve these huge things in life, and that you look at it and admire. And I like to say, everybody in this game is watching somebody else's game. That's the reason why we're playing the game, and in this life, there's watchers and then there's players, and a lot of people are just watching, and then there's other people that are really playing. And when you're watching these players and you're seeing them do these things, and you're saying, ooh, that's crazy. You don't really realize, but they had to slay a bunch of dragons to get there, and then they got it, and then they lost it, and then they got it, and then they lost it, and then they got it, and then they lost it, because that's the process, and you have to get it and lose it 5 or 6 times to know that you were the one that was going to go get it regardless. Some people get it and never get it back, but the thing that separates a real GOAT, the best of all time, is going through those trials and tribulations that most people can never understand. I find it funny how when people talk about these sports and all these athletes and everything, when they're having a bad season, they're like, "Oh, this guy's just, he's just off. He's not even playing his game. He can't play for nothing." This and this. You have no idea the ups and downs that these people go through in the journey that they're on, and it always makes them greater. For example, like Novak Djokovic, for example, so many different people, when they're down, people talk down on them crazy, and then when they're up, it's like he's the greatest of all time, but he's only the greatest of all time because he came back like nothing ever happened. And when he had those losses disappeared very, very fast, and next thing you know, you saw him back winning again. And people don't realize that. People don't really realize the work that you have to put in, and nobody cheers you on when you're nothing. And right now, every bit of support that comes my way through this channel, I get so excited and so happy, because people usually cheer you on when there's no reason to cheer you on. So you have to embrace the people that do cheer you on. You have to embrace the people that do congratulate you on the things that you're doing, because this is a very internal process of trying to get to the place that you want to get to, and you feeling like you're in such a delusion because it's not really real. I'm making these videos every single day, and I have no problem doing it. I actually love doing it, and whatever 10, 15 people, 13 people watch, but I know at some point in time that's going to completely change, and it's going to happen in a whirlwind where it seems like, oh, this happened all overnight, and that's what people are going to say, and that's definitely not going to be the case, because I know it didn't, and it's the journey, bro. It's the journey, bro. So lock in on the journey. Lock in on the fact that it's about the person that you're going to be made into, Um, yeah, there's not much to be said, because I don't give a fuck about the things that I'm going to obtain, the life that I'm going to have. Sure, it's going to be extremely cool, but it's going to be boring. I'm going to always look back on how far I came, and I still do that, right? It's like 4 years sober, 3.5, 4 years sober, and I look back on the times of early sobriety where it was the hardest part of the journey. Starting a journey, starting a new hardship, starting a new challenge is the hardest part, because it's you're just digging, you're just digging, you're just digging, you're just pushing, you're just pushing, you're just pushing. And it's never going to get harder than that. Of course, you're going to have different trials and tribulations. You're going to have things that try to stop you. You're going to have new devils, but you're equipped for them. In that early sobriety, I had so many times where I was facing things that were very normal things to normal people, but for me as an alcoholic and an addict, they were not normal things to face, because I usually had drugs to fall back on or drinks to fall back on. So when I face these things, I'd be like, how the fuck am I going to face this? This is impossible. And then after I faced another one, after I faced another one, after I faced another one, I had these times where my mind went to a drink or a drug, and then I didn't use it, and then I went to go call somebody, or I did this or I did that. I learned all these ways to not drink and do drugs. So if I didn't learn all these ways and I just became, I don't know, if I just found another way where I skipped 3.5 years, I wouldn't be equipped to have these ways in which I manage the emotions that I feel, the confrontation of who I am and my defects. So all these things equipped me and gave me armor to know, I have God, I have this, I have that, I have this. I'm well equipped to face any challenge that comes at me. And I learned so much to the point of knowing that, if anything happens, somebody else out there went through it and stayed sober, and I just like to give that as an example, because it's very something that I'm very, very proud of in my life, where I've been sober and the hardships of it have been very, very hard. Things I never thought I'd be able to handle, I handled in this life. And I always look back on how it felt to be in early sobriety and how it felt to go through those hard times of like, like I really want to just give up on this and just go back to the lame ass life that I lived, you know, just using drugs in a fucking basement. And the same thing here, you know, and same thing in success or whatever it is. It's like if I quit YouTube, all I'm gonna have to do is go back to the lame existence of knowing that I don't have a purpose, or thinking I don't have a purpose, or the lame existence of being lost in the idea of trying to fill myself up in one way or another. Because before I had this purpose, I was trying to fill myself up in this world, and it was just a bottomless pit of sin, and I could not deal with it. Like I was at my rock bottom, and it brought me to a rock bottom in sobriety and in like emotions, to the point of like, what none of this stuff is worth it, you know. None of it, you know. And I've realized that this is something that is completely and utterly worth it, you know, in self-improvement, because nobody's there to see you improve. Everybody's just there to see you win, you know. And when you win, everybody's clapping and congratulating you. But when you were in the trenches, nobody was there talking to you, you know, or paying attention to you, you know. Thanks for watching, guys. Like, comment, subscribe. I never say this, but like, comment, subscribe. Whenever you guys comment, I truly and utterly enjoy, because it's so helpful for me to see that somebody else relates to what I'm saying. Because sometimes even myself, I trick myself into thinking like I'm alone in everything that I'm saying and everything that I'm facing, and nobody's listening. So it's like an insane motivator to read a comment or see a subscription, you know. It lights up my day and it keeps me going just 1 inch forward. Like, just like Speed said, you know, one viewer pushes me, you know, one viewer really does it. And thank you so much.